mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about Season 5, Episode 5 of what I'm now going to refer to as HBO Max's Gomorrah. It's been airing on Sky Television. Well, it's over now. I had all the episodes kind of collected for me to watch, but I got through the first 4, which I had the videos for, and it's been a while since I posted another one because I kind of got caught up in like Succession and Dexter and Yellow Jackets and like all these other things that kind of premiered all at one time. And Gomorrah kind of got pushed to the back burner because those videos are doing pretty good numbers for me, so they kind of became the forefront of my focus. But now that those things have ended and I have this little bit of time before some new stuff starts up, it's time to finish my show. So I'm back with another episode of Gomorrah. Since I last recorded episode 4, I had actually watched episode 5 and just never got around to doing the video. So I rewatched it just to kind of refresh my memory so I wouldn't come up here trying to talk based solely on my notes. And in that time, the whole 5th season became available on HBO Max as of, I think, a couple of days ago, maybe. So now it's on HBO Max, so I'm going to refer to it as HBO Max. HBO Max's Gomorrah rather than Sky / I can't even remember what the other thing was. Sky / Now. I don't know. I can't remember. But I'm going to finish out this season probably over the course of the next, I hope, week or so. And then I can get these videos out, and those of you who might have just started watching it on HBO Max or started watching season 5 can kind of follow along with me, since I do still have kind of a head start watching the first 4 episodes. But let's get into this one. So this episode was kind of a strange episode for me. I've talked about in the past with Gomorrah how even when they have like these bottle episodes where it's like, it focuses on like, say, one individual who maybe we haven't seen too much of, but they make a really interesting episode about that person and then tie it into the main storyline at the end. Even though they've been great at that historically on this show, I feel like this is probably the first episode where it felt almost kind of like a filler episode. And I say that hesitantly because that sounds like an insult. I enjoyed this episode, but I felt like they committed an entire episode to something that didn't need an entire episode worth of time. This episode kind of spent most of its runtime doing 3 things. One, it painted Chiro as like some sort of deity. Like not just like, okay, we had the whole thing about him being immortal, but it was never like we truly believe he's immortal. It's like, this is a guy who's escaped death a bunch of times. Now they're painting him as actually immortal. Like he's some sort of god. Like they have Mike Stroud compares him to Jesus at one point, which I thought was strange. Like, you guys are really buying into this. Because at the end of the day, he's not immortal. He didn't die and come back. I know that's the perception because they thought he was dead, but he never actually died and then came back like Jesus or something. Like, he just fucking didn't die and you thought he did. But neither here nor there. But they're painting him as like this deity. There's like a scene where when they take what's his name? Did I write it down? I don't know if I did. Fuck. The one guy who we know, who used to be part of Chiro's crew, who Jenny recruits to kind of find out where he's at. His name started with an F. I keep wanting to call him Federico, but I know that's the bowl haircut little monk guy. I don't know why I can't remember the other guy's name. But there's a point where they take him back to like Chiro's hideout. And like he's speaking like out of the shadows, like you can't see him. He emerges from the shadows like some sort of, like I said, like some sort of ghost or something. And the show is kind of leaning into this like supernatural aspect almost. Like they're not trying to make it seem like that, but they're giving that perception so that we can understand that the characters view him in that way. And Enzo uses that to do the second thing, which is kind of like amass a crew for him. Because right now, he's essentially alone with like a couple of guys. Cosimo even asked Federico at one point, like, this guy's alone. Like, why is he such a big deal? And they understand that he's alone. He can't win this war by himself. So Enzo's kind of like recruiting guys, but under the pretense like, hey, I'm recruiting you for a guy who came back from the dead. Like he's like he painted this whole mystique, and it's I don't know, it's just weird to me. Like I found this episode to be a little bit strange that they put so much weight on making him into some sort of god, which I mean, I get it. What better selling point than you have than, hey, come work for the guy who just doesn't die? But I don't know. It just seemed kind of strange to me, and it's not even like on a religious thing because I don't give a fuck about any kind of religion shit. But like it just seemed like a strange direction for the show to go, to lean so heavily into this like Chiro is like this mystical figure who can't die. Come work for him. Like that was a little bit weird to me. And then the third thing is that they spent some time kind of planting seeds of Jenny's crew turning against him. You see, there's a scene where Federico implies that Maestral is essentially hoping that Jenny will lose to Chiro. Like why don't you tell him that you don't agree? And he's like, oh, is it because you think he can't win? Like the implication there is that he kind of wants to take over. And then we know that his wife is, his wife always got some plans. So, yeah, that's the first way in which they do it. And then at the end, when we see the guy whose name I can't remember, it's really fucking bugging me, man. Like, and it's not in my notes either. And because I have it in my notes on my phone, but I don't have it in my notes on here because I didn't think that I have to mention the guy. But when they come and they find him dead, and Chiro calls Jenny on his phone, on the dead guy's phone, he even says like, how are your guys looking at you right now? And you see Maestral making a face. He looks over at Federico. He's making a face. He looks back at the rest of the crew. They're making a face because now, from their perspective, they've seen Jenny sacrifice not one but two of their guys. The one that they sacrificed to have the guy whose name I can't remember, prove that he was loyal to Chiro. They sacrificed that guy for the greater good, essentially. Like, oh, we could end this war. That's how Jenny sold them on it. Like, we can win this war right now once we find out where Chiro is. And if we had to give up this one guy to do it, like, hey, sacrifice for the greater good, right? But now they see not one but two of their guys now are dead, and they got nothing out of it other than a phone call and some shit talking. Like that's it. So they're planting a lot of seeds of mistrust here, a lot of reasons to doubt him. He's losing everything. Like a lot of the time, well, not a lot of the time, but a lot of what we're working toward is the idea of everything crumbling down around him. Like we got, his crew losing faith in him. We've got Chiro winning every round so far. His wife is trying to secretly dip on him with his kid. He doesn't even know that yet. And then, most importantly, we see in this episode that they make an attempt on his wife and kid at her house. And Tiziana, the chick from the airport, was there bringing her the money or whatever for her jewelry so she can bail. And she catches a stray. And there's no way Jenny can figure out who's behind that. He's probably going to assume Chiro's behind it somehow. Like, oh, you came after my wife. You came after my son. It's on now. He could never figure out. He's going to have to at some point. But as of right now, if Gennaro is sitting down like, man, who could have made an attempt on my wife and son? He's not going to go, oh, it must be the wife of the guy who I killed that was peeing in front of me and shit. Like Don Vincenzo, I think his name was. He's never going to put that together. Well, I mean, he probably will put it together at some point. But right now, he can't put that together. So that's a way in which he's losing that he's not even aware of yet. So I do think that, well, I felt this episode spent a lot of time on the like painting Chiro as some sort of deity. I do think that like if this was a show where they split the season into two parts and you got 5 episodes at one point and then they take a few months off and they gave you the last 5, this would have been the perfect ending point for part 1 because everything is coming down around him. He's got no wins right now. He's taking nothing but losses. He's got losses that he doesn't even know about yet. like everyone's turning against him. He's got nothing. And I think that is a really interesting place to leave when we still got 5 episodes left in this series. There's a whole lot that can happen over the course of 5 episodes. Like, is the pendulum going to swing back in Jenny's direction. I think it kind of has to. Like what's the point of watching Chiro get win after win after win after win, and then the show ends? Like, that's not interesting. There needs to be some sort of conflict, and it's not. And when I say conflict, I mean like an even matchup conflict, not like Chiro winning every round conflict. It needs to, it needs to go back and forth. And I think Jenny needs to get a win right now. And right now, he's only set up for more losses. The Don Vincenzo's wife is operating completely unknown to him and coming after him. His wife is completely ready to go. He's losing his crew, literally and figuratively. He's literally losing people to death, and he's losing people from a loyal perspective. So everything's coming down around Jenny. But I want to get into some of the thoughts that I had on this episode. I'm not going to spend too much time on this episode or any episode, honestly, unless they have, like, I'm assuming the finale is probably going to have a lot to talk about. But like I said, not a lot happened here. But I do want to talk about, I do have a couple thoughts. How is Jenny going to react when he finds out that Tiziana was killed in the attempt on his wife's life? Because he's obviously going to wonder, why was she even there? And where's that going to go? Is Azura going to have to admit, like, yeah, I was trying to use her to help get away from you? I could see her doing that. But yeah, I'm just wondering if he's going to catch on to that, or if that's something that the show is going to kind of like gloss over or not even address at all. I also noticed Jenny's been breathing heavy a lot, and distractingly so, where you can hear it through the broadcast. And it made me wonder, I don't say the broadcast, it makes it sound live, but through the show. And it makes me wonder if, Salvatore Esposito is a big man. Maybe he just breathes heavy, and maybe the microphones pick it up and they're not doing anything in post to kind of like take that out. That's one hand. But what I think is likely the case is that this is a real subtle kind of clue that everything that's happening to him, all of these losses, is piling up on his health. Because we've seen him have like these panic attacks earlier in the season. Things are getting worse and worse. And I wonder if this is like him breathing Salvatore breathing extra heavy to kind of show the stress and the pressure that's coming along with him trying to beat Chiro, and he can't. Because he looked like he had the upper hand when he left Chiro in that Russian gulag or whatever the fuck that was. He probably thought he had the upper hand there, and he's like, I just can't kill this guy. And so even if he's not having a panic attack, he's still, like, not literally doing that, but internally, like, almost like hyperventilating. And hearing him breathing like that, I wonder if that's a acting touch that Salvatore put on this performance, to where if Gennaro ends up, say, dying from like a heart attack or something like that, or a panic attack or something stress related, that's something I can look back like, they planted the seeds for that right down to having this motherfucker breathing heavy all the time to where you notice it. And that's a very subtle way of doing that. The panic attacks are a very overt way, but like having him breathe heavy is a very subtle way of doing that. So if it comes back around that he does end up, say, dying or something from something health related due to the stress, that's going to be a pretty big notch, I think, in Salvatore Esposito's acting hat, that he kind of like pulled out that heavy breathing. But hey, he's a big fella, man. He could just be breathing heavy. I don't know. Let's see. And I already mentioned that I thought this was a good ending point. And also that I think that they could have spent less time on Chiro's deity and amassing a crew. I like the drone shots a lot that they've been utilizing this season. They do it, like following cars down a road. And I don't know. I feel like these are great looking shots, like at nighttime. But you can see very clearly the drones got. I'm not surprised that drones would have incredible fucking abilities to shoot at night. But like, these are beautiful fucking shots. These drone shots, absolutely love them. And then I really like the closing shot at the end of this episode. So at the end of the episode, Azura comes to his house. She's already there when he arrives. And she basically, she tells him, they tried to kill me. I want you to send people to go clean up my house. And I want you to give money to the families of the people who try to protect me. Like, a very admirable thing to do. And she's very much putting her foot down on him. But she takes his room and closes the door in his face. And he has to go in Pietro Jr.'s room. And he's sitting there. Excuse me. He's sitting there. And Pietro, his son's name, is in like fluorescent lighting that's framed above Jenny's head in the shot, but it's really on the wall above his bed. And you see him kind of sulking from like a side perspective, and you see the name across the top of his head, which is actually over Pietro's bed. And aside from it being cool visually, like they have like this purple light kind of coming on his face, and like I said, the lighting of the name is kind of fluorescent, so like aesthetically it's like really good to look at. It's a cool looking shot. But I'm wondering if this is foreshadowing something. Like we've always had the comparison between Pietro Salvatore and Gennaro. They've always played with that. The idea of Jenny essentially becoming who he didn't want to be, which is Pietro, or being a worse version of him. But I wonder if this is foreshadowing a similar ending. Ciro killed his father. Ciro's on the hunt for him. Like, I wonder if this is kind of like a heavy-handed, like, he's going in the same direction as Pietro. Not simply they are two characters that you can compare to one another, but they are also two characters on the same path. So if Ciro ends up killing Gennaro just like he killed Pietro, we could look at this shot as like foreshadowing that, like the same ending for both characters. So like I said, I enjoyed this episode. Felt a little bit filler, lots of time spent a little bit strange on the deity stuff and painting Ciro into Jesus, but aside from that, this episode did do a lot of cool stuff, and I'm gonna be trying to get through these last 5 as quickly as I can to get these videos out. So keep an eye on the channel, get the notifications, and I'll see you guys probably within the next couple of days with a video for episode 6. Peace.